Yeah, hi there. Today's session is about attracting more people into your network and into your investor database so you could nurture and then get more sales done. Either you are selling more property deals or you are selling any of your value ladder products that would potentially help you kind of build a much bigger personal and professional brand. You need to attract more people into your network and, like I said, into your investor database, leading to more sales. And that is at the core of building a sustainable business. That's what you're going to cover. Now, the first step in anything that you ever do, and there's a few things that I'm going to cover which will really, really help you like strongly. Okay. One thing is that the first step in whatever business you set up, it doesn't really matter, either it's a property business or whatever business you set up, the first step always is your customer avatar. Like I was mentioning earlier, are you presenting this deal to a newbie, someone who's been in the industry for maybe 2 or 3 years, or someone who's a seasoned investor and has been in the industry for 20 years? It makes a big difference to the person you're speaking with. Lydia, are you with me on this?
Yes, Jack.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure by now you must have seen that because you've already started pitching. You already know some of the deals that you're presenting it to. If you present it to a complete newbie, a deal in comparison to someone who's been in the industry for 5 years, it's a major perception difference. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, absolutely. Also, their action taken is a lot different.
It is. Someone who's a newbie, no, I think that's very personal, I guess. So someone who is a lot more basically motivated, they will take faster action. While someone who is a seasoned investor, has made his money, not really, there to think, oh, I want to make tons of money. It all depends on their motivation and inspiration level.
Well, no, I just feel like seasoned investors see it more as business, while newbies see it more as risk to take.
That's right. Yes, yes, that's true. But again, I think a lot of this is personal as well as how experienced you are in the industry. Okay, but your customer avatar is absolutely key, right? If you don't know who you're talking with, let's say you pick up the phone, and if you haven't checked on the person to how experienced that person is, you've already lost, because you don't know much about that person. How are you going to pitch to that person? Okay, it's a very good practice to literally take between 2 to 5 minutes to check on that person. Okay, either you check on social media or you check on company's house or whatever channel you can potentially find. You need to go and check on the person to how experienced that person is. Okay, as well as in our industry, most of us here, we are practically serving property investors. Okay, so for us, it's a lot more clearer. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But customer avatar is very, very important. Now, what do I mean by customer avatar? That leads to another question, which is, where can you find them? Okay, because once you know your customer avatar, property investors, Lydia, would you like to answer this question? Where can you find them?
It really depends on your approach.
Tell me 10 places you can find them.
10 places that you can find them. Facebook, for example.
They could be virtual or physical.
Yeah, you can have them virtual, you can have them physical, you can have them by recommendation, you can have them by referencing. I mean, there's a lot of people who will approach you as you...
Tell me 10 places you can find them.
Places, you mean as in ways, or...
10 places. Let's say Facebook is one.
Okay.
LinkedIn is 2. Where else can you find them?
WhatsApp groups as well.
Yes.
Based on people who are looking for specific
exactly.
things.
That's 3.
Within your own network, kind of referencing if they know anybody who may be interested in specific things.
4.
Potentially business cards at public events.
Public events. 5. Yes, public events.
What else? I mean, there's there's a massive amount of ways to get people, but I'm trying to think of like the major hotspots.
I gave you a list of 121.
Yeah, no, of course. The touch points, that's fine. I'm just thinking about like places that you normally get a lot of them.
Community events.
Yeah.
If you are religious and you go to churches.
HMO registers as well. Also.
HMO registers. Yep. Where else can you find them?
Places that you wouldn't normally think of, like tradesmen and people who they know. Also, councils are connected to specific type of individuals. There's a multitude of leads, really.
Everyone that you speak with in property industry, everyone. You speak with a plumber. That's your lead, because even they want to invest in properties. You speak with an electrician. They want to invest in properties. My window guy, the one who's fitting windows in Slough, he asked me about how can I benefit from what you do. Okay, the guy who fitted windows in one of our the Warsaw property, he's been connected. He's in the network. He's asked me how can I benefit. In fact, he's actually on my list and he gets my notifications. Okay, you will find people literally everywhere. Okay, everyone wants to own more properties. Everyone wants to generate more income. Everyone wants to become potentially a millionaire. It's just the way you present yourself and the way you pitch. I'm going to cover that at a later stage. Okay, but there's a reason I asked you that question, is because if you look at the PN model in and itself, it's based on the fact that people can get registered, and regardless of what category of service you provide, eventually they are all property investors. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you can find pretty much as soon as you go out. I've walked out, taken my daughter to the playground, and my neighbor asked me. Okay, he's connected with me. He's in the network. Okay, potentially, if not now, maybe you buy something in 12 months, 24 months. Does that make sense? You have to keep nurturing that relationship. Again, we're going to cover that. But the reason I covered this is because literally, as soon as you go out of here and you speak with a person, they want to grow their portfolio. They want to know more about property. Okay, it all depends on how far they are in their journey. So either they bought a property for themselves, they live in, they pay a mortgage, or they have maybe 1 BTL, or they have 5 BTLs, or they have 2 HMOs. Somewhere along the journey they are, and they're all property investors. Either they're an electrician, an architect, a property solicitor. Pretty much everyone that you speak with who directly or indirectly supplies to property industry is your potential prospect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's true. It also reminds me, because we're recording, I'm not going to name anybody,
No.
But basically also with that investor that happened to me, the investor was retained, and now the part of nourishing is very important. You keep in touch with them. Obviously you try
Nurturing
to deliver.
is very,
However,
very important. Yes.
even though you can deliver to them immediately, as we delivered this deal, the investor then said, well, it looks like I'm going to have to put a little bit of a break on this, primarily because I've got too many funds tied up, but I'd like to resume later on. So
That's
it is
fine,
true that people that you have in your list
exactly
will simply be buying from you at a later stage.
Remember, if someone is prepared to buy from you today, if you can nurture that relationship well, they'll buy from you 20 years later. Okay, I've literally got people in my life even now that I've got connected 15 years ago. They still are in touch with me. They still want to do business with me. Okay, because I've nurtured that relationship. They connected with me in a different business. Now I'm in a completely different business, and they're still connected with me, and they're still buying from me. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's all about nurturing that relationship. Again, I'm going to cover all of this in a bit in the session. But the reason, like I said, I covered this is because every person that you speak with, pretty much, either you meet them at, community events, religious events, you go out to party, you go out to meet someone, regardless of where you are, you're going to meet people who are interested in investing in property. Now, it depends, either you are sourcing, you're selling deals, or you're doing your own projects, and you present them with, this is what I'm doing. Would you like to be a partner? Would you like to invest passively? Or so on, or would you like to become a JV partner? It all depends on that, the way you present yourself. Again, I'm going to cover this, but it's pretty much everywhere you go. Okay. And obviously you have the 121 list of different marketing channels that you can potentially use. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things that most people again struggle with is your marketing message or your marketing hook, as I call it. Okay. One thing you're going to understand, it's going to be very, very simple. So for example, my hook always is, and you can obviously observe by now, is would you like to grow your property portfolio and your property business? Can it be any simpler than that? No. Can it, so this is my question to you. Can it be any simpler than that?
No.
It can't be any simpler. Okay. I have messaged people from very, very random industries. Okay. Consultants, advisors, you name it, bankers. I've messaged them and I've always had a very, very good reply. Okay. It's always like, yes, we are interested. Maybe I'll come back to you in a few months' time. And then all of a sudden, when you check a few months later, they are messaging me back saying, you know, how can we be a part of it? And then I send them the WhatsApp group links. Does that make sense? You need to work out your marketing message very, very well, regardless of what you do. Okay. I'll give you an example, Lydia. Okay. In your case, for example, okay, it could be as simple as, would you like to make 20% return on your money invested? They will check your profile. You do property acquisitions, okay? And they will know, would you like to make 20% return on your money invested in property investment? Something like that. Does that make sense? And you must have more than one marketing message. It can't be just one single message, okay? I'll give you another example, okay? In between, I was connected with a fund who were prepared to bring in all the 100%. Obviously, with COVID, that stopped. But my marketing message at that time was, would you like to get 100% of the total cost of your next development? Does that make sense?
Yes, Jack.
For the refurb projects, I'd say, would you like to get 80% of the total cost of your refurb project? Yeah, makes sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How does this apply to you is the question. Lavanya, in your case, I'll give you an example.
Yes, Jack.
Let's say you look for a project and you want to do this BRR project, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or you want to convert it into a guest house or whatever it might be, okay?
Yeah.
Would you like to invest in property and get 20% return on your money invested?
So that means we are giving them 20%.
Yes, we are offering them 20%. But the reason I'm saying is, look, this is a marketing message. Does that make sense?
Okay. So
yeah?
It doesn't. Mm-hmm.
It just,
okay.
You gotta keep it simple and you gotta keep it to the point.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone has any questions on the marketing message? Simple, but it has to be a good hook. If you look at the marketing hook of PEN, would you like to grow your property portfolio? The tagline of PEN.
Your business and your property portfolio.
Exactly. And your power team. When I say power team, what happens? If it's a builder and he's struggling with his power team, he all of a sudden saying things, you know what, let me network with these people. Does that make sense?
Emmanuel is asking what will be the time scale.
Emmanuel, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I typed the question. So going back,
you did. Okay.
Yeah, the question you mentioned. So if you were to ask me, would I like to invest so that I'll get 20% ROI? I'd be thinking in terms of, okay, what time scale are we talking about? Is it going to be months? Are we talking years?
Yes. So see, remember, you don't want the deal. You don't want to give them everything in one single message.
Right.
You're just raising someone's curiosity to get in touch with you. And then you can give more details. Okay. Remember, it's a marketing hook. And you need to have more than one marketing hook. You need to have multiple hooks.
Also, for argument's sake, normally, Emmanuel, when people refer to returns, it normally refers to how quickly you're going to make that return back in terms of like a year. So 20% return will be like 20% in a year.
When I
Okay.
say 20% ROI, it normally standard practice is it's a year.
Okay.
Okay. But you don't want the message to be too long because then it puts people
Yeah.
off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It needs to be short. It needs to be sweet. It needs to be remember, there's a reason it's called a marketing hook. All
Yeah.
you're doing is you're attracting someone to your network.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. And like I said, you got to have multiple messages in your, the marketing messages in your arsenal. I call it, you can call it the arsenal or your tools. You got to have multiple marketing messages in your toolbox.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Good. Cool. Thanks.
And anyone else I can cover for here that I can't think of. Do you want to give me a situation and I give you a hook? Okay, I'll move on then. I guess everyone kind of got a gist of what we are trying to do here, right? You got to make it compelling, you got to make it interesting, and you got to make sure that you can attract people.
Okay, Jack.
Okay. Next step is, what media will you use to reach your target audience? Okay, Lydia, maybe you can answer this for me. What are the 3 channels that I am using?
Facebook, WhatsApp,
YouTube.
Zoom.
WhatsApp, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We are using YouTube as well, but that becomes a secondary level. Okay, the main level is LinkedIn and Facebook and WhatsApp. Okay, if you look at Facebook, if you go back to the Facebook groups and you look at the introduction posts, pretty much introduction posts of all the groups. Okay, and the same applies to LinkedIn. Okay, in for example, the groups that I lead, people are tagged. Okay, there's over 2,900 people. Every single person in that group is tagged and invited to a WhatsApp group. Okay, if you look at Harry, for example, he's doing the same thing, exactly the same thing. Okay, and he's attracted, I think in his group he's got 900 people now. Okay, that's exactly the reason he's closing good business as well, if you guys don't know. Okay, so if you are not doing this systematic way of connecting with people on LinkedIn and Facebook, inviting them to your groups, either your Facebook group or LinkedIn group or your WhatsApp groups, you are not even doing the basics of your marketing, unfortunately. Okay,
That's one of the things that I noticed as well, is while I started connecting with people on LinkedIn as well, is I noticed that over time I didn't really have to do it manually anymore, as I would just wake up and I'd have over 10 connections.
Yeah, but you got to do it a lot more consciously, Lydio, because you want to get to a point where you have 10,000, even 100,000 people in your network.
Yeah.
Again, this is very, very simple. If you send an email to 1,000 people, you have 90% chances of selling. If you send the same email to 10,000 people, you are 100% going to sell that deal. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat that real quick?
So let's say you send an email to 1,000 people, you are very highly likely to sell that deal. But if you send the same email to 10,000 people, you are guaranteed to sell that deal.
Oh, okay. I understood like 100,000 in the beginning, and I was like, hold on.
No, 10,000. Your aim is to get to 10,000. Okay. The day you get to 10,000, Lydio, I promise you one thing. Okay. That you will sell almost every single deal that will come across you. Does that make sense? But
Absolutely.
the only time you're going to get to 10,000 and being able to nurture is if you add 10, 20, 30 people every single day.
I mean, I've met people who are happy to go in the negative just because they want to put money into assets. They don't even care about returns.
Exactly. But remember, it's a numbers game. Okay. I know you've already set up your email system, but you're not really pushing it through. Does that make sense? You really need to push through. Okay. Remember, on my LinkedIn, if you go on my LinkedIn, I have 11,000 connections. At one point, there was a period of about 6 months when I decided, you know what, I'm actually going to put my foot down on my LinkedIn connections. Okay. this was a couple of years ago. Conscious focus, effort to connect with more people on LinkedIn. Okay, and those are the people, many of them have subscribed to my email list, or in our network, in our WhatsApp groups, in our, those are the people who buy from you eventually.
How big is your email list at the moment, Jack?
So email list stands at about 1,100. My contact list stands at about almost 10,000.
Okay.
So my mobile number list. And remember, obviously I have the tech issue, but again, we are recovering that and working on it, but that stands at about 10,000.
Okay.
Okay. So you got to work on your numbers. It is simply a numbers game and absolutely nothing else. Okay. But the point I was trying to make was that what are the channels that you are using, as in 1, 2, or 3 different channels that you are using to attract leads and to nurture those leads. Okay. Remember, just because you're ready to sell doesn't mean someone is ready to buy. Okay. They may not be ready for another 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, but you want to start and keep nurturing those leads. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. Again, I've maybe shared this previously, but I'll share it again. I've literally had someone call me 5 years later. A card that I left on a hotel desk called me 5 years later for business. So they had kept my card in their shelf or whatever for 5 years before they gave me a call. Okay. It's all about putting the effort in and then waiting for the results. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Lydia, another thing that I'd like to ask for everyone, obviously, when you get to 10,000 people in your investor database, and if you have every single one of them, or at least a good percentage of them, engaged with you, guess what your business would be valued at? Quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
7-8 figures.
Let's say if you can sell 1 deal a week. Do you think you can sell 1 deal a week if you have 10,000 people in your database?
You can sell more than that easily.
If not more, at least that, I would say. Okay. Even in the worst case scenario, you sell 2 deals a month. That's 24 deals in a year. If each deal made you 5 grand, how much is that?
That'll be about 120,000.
120,000. Your business would be valued at least 3 to 5 multiples.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not just about you making that money. It's about creating a valuable and sustainable business. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's the target of getting to 10,000 and keep that database engaged, as well as keep nurturing that relationship. Okay. What is your lead capture system? So for example, for us, it's very, very simple. We connect with people, we invite them to our group, and then we tag them and then invite them to WhatsApp groups. Okay. Are we capturing those leads or not? And then when you send deals to them, either it's property deals or property finance they're looking for, or whatever it is, when there is a new deal. So let's say, this reefer product came out in property finance. Okay. When I put it out, I had about 6-7 people message me right away saying, could you tell me a bit more? I think there's out of that, about 3 of them are going on. Okay. So a new product in the market, I put it out to the network, and then I start to attract those leads. Does that make sense? But if I had not done by connecting with them, inviting them to Facebook or WhatsApp groups, do you think I would have got the business? I'm asking a question.
Yes, Jack.
So do you think I would have attracted the business if I had not done this process?
No.
The answer is no. Okay. Same with, yesterday's deals, or the day before yesterday's deals. If I had not done this process of inviting, nurturing those relationships, I would have not been able to generate all those leads so we could potentially close those deals. Okay.
Okay.
What is your lead nurturing system? Okay. Nurturing, again, we do the same thing. We nurture through WhatsApp groups. If you look at me putting out content, either it's events or I do live videos or I do a podcast or I do an interview, what do you think I'm actually trying to do at the core? Well, there's multiple things I'm trying to do, but one of the main things I'm trying to actually do is nurture those relationships. Does that make sense?
You're also creating quite a healthy precedent for your business.
Exactly. So not just nurturing relationships through creating content, but I'm also creating a personal and a professional brand.
Yeah.
So funny enough, let me tell you a story on this. I connected with someone about a couple of months ago. This guy emailed me a deal, a large deal, a multi-million-pound deal for property finance. And then nothing happened. Okay, he disappeared. So I went back to him 2 months later. I replied to him on an email saying, you know, you never called me and I don't work on an email. And then he called me after that. Yesterday, he introduced me. So after that, actually, I sent him a message of the event recording, the last event recording. And then immediately he called me. He said, oh, that is a great video, 3 hours and 40 minutes of content. I will, watch it when I get time. I did watch a few minutes, but let me introduce you to one of my friends, and he's looking to do a development in Croydon. How much is he looking to, what is he looking to do? He's looking to convert a detached property into 4 flats, and he needs about £1 million worth of development loan. Okay. 2 months, nothing happened. All of a sudden, I send him a message of the event video, and then he refers me to his friend. Does that make sense?
Yes, Jack.
Now that happened yesterday, and that was that's a £1 million development case going on as we speak. Okay, he's looking to apply for a development for planning permission. He already owns the property. I introduced him to our architect, and then it's going to lead to a loan, as well as him maybe potentially using our builders. Okay.
That's churning it quite a bit.
Sorry, say that again.
No, you're churning that quite a bit, making commission everywhere.
Yes, but it only starts to happen for you, Lidio, when you actually do all of this. Okay, setting up the system that you see, even though it looks very, very simple, it's very, very effective once you start to do it.
Yeah, that's something that I've built myself as well. I try to take investors through a certain process from start to finish and try to make a commission out of each and every little thing.
Yeah.
Right? So,
you must. Yeah. As well as I think this is something you may need to work on the ladder.
Yeah.
You need to do that, because the more, remember, you're still putting out content, and this is again you're bringing more tools into the picture, which will help you monetize more. Okay.
Okay.
So your value ladder will really, really help you. Okay, that's key. Because at that point, as soon as someone calls you, even if they don't buy anything from you immediately, they will walk away with your front-end free product. Okay, and that is a part of the nurturing process. Does that make sense? Okay, and they may come back to you and say, you know what, I learned so much from your front-end product, which was free. Could you tell me what else can you help me with? Okay, and then you potentially maybe show them your next product. Okay, either it's your sourcing deals, or it could be a video series that you charge maybe £50 or £100 for, whatever that might be. Remember, you need to start creating channels that will not just help you monetize, but help you nurture those relationships. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
For those who still are slightly lost on what I'm talking about, and if you haven't watched previous videos, you will understand what I mean when you start to watch those previous videos. Okay. Another question you need to ask yourself is, how will you deliver a world-class experience? Okay. Now, for example, if you look at Amazon, one of the biggest reason Amazon is doing well is because of their world-class delivery. You pick up a prime product, it gets delivered to you the next day, right? You pick up another product, if it says 22nd of a certain date, it normally most of the times arrives at that date. That's giving a world-class experience. Question for you is, how are you creating systems in place? I insist on systems in place to deliver a world-class experience. Okay, either it's your value ladder products, or you are sourcing a deal, or whatever it is that you're doing. How are you delivering a world-class experience? Okay, I know it's never easy, but the day you get there, you're talking about a 7, 8, 9-figure business there. Okay, but this is a question that I think that's been addressed in the best way is by by Bezos. Okay, but even if you look at, for example, us, in most cases, most of the people that I deal with, not everyone, it's not easy, but most of the people that I deal with, they walk away because I can show you my personal experience, people calling me 10, 15 years later when they want to do business with me because I actually delivered a very good experience for them. Okay, so you got to create that as well as ask this question at every step of the way. How will you increase customer lifetime value? Lydia, would you like to answer this question for me?
How can I add value to my customers?
No. How can you increase the lifetime value of your customer? So basically at the core of the question is, how can you create a system where they come and buy from you over and over again?
So one of the first things that I would do is, before I assess what is it that they're exactly looking for, is ask them what they want long term. So I can already establish at least a baseline as to how much I can furnish them until they will say stop. Another thing is to just kind of try and find a means that will basically keep on generating you revenue. Either it's through like a referral, say for example, an accountant who will keep giving you a split, utility company who will keep giving you a split, or any other services that might make use of, be it like management if you handle something like that, and any of the services that you can really just milk in a way, I guess you could say.
Yes, at the same time. Okay, so if you look at PEN, right? How many webs I have? Tell me how many webs I have. So what do I mean by webs is how many people, how many channels I use to attract people towards me? Tens of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Architects, planners, consultants, project managers, builders, solicitors, pretty much everything that you can imagine. Whatever the need in the property industry, I can potentially provide them directly or indirectly. Either I make money from it or not. Have I just created more, a stronger connection or not? There are many times I've introduced them to someone where I'm not even making any money. But because I've introduced them to someone, the next time when they need property finance, do I increase my chances of attracting that lead?
Yeah, I mean, for example, yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, for example, we're doing, me and Jasim as a team, what we're delivering is we're basically getting a commission out of the sourcing, out of the planning and architectural fees, out of the building, out of the program management, and basically also extras on the utility bill and
of course,
other things.
Pretty much, yes. Okay, but at the same time,
and all the finance.
At the same time, let's say they take on a property from you. Okay, once they've taken the property from you, you must always ask them at later stage, saying, what could we have improved and how can we serve you now? Okay, so what you're now doing is you're actually creating a perception saying, we are here to improve our systems and service, but at the same time, I want more business from you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So just because you've completed a deal or closed a deal doesn't mean that it stops there. It actually starts there. Okay, now it's time for you to close the second deal, the third deal, and the fourth deal, and so on and so forth. Okay, So
Yep.
what you're now doing is increasing the customer lifetime value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Likewise, when, let's say you closed a deal, okay, now they are happy with you, at least to some extent, ask for referrals, okay, and say, every time you refer someone to me, I'm going to give you something, okay.
I was
Offer
actually
something.
thinking of that. If
Yeah.
Since we're starting to bump up our introducer fee, not our introducer fee, sorry, our retainer fees, right,
Yeah.
to about 1,000 to just kind of like move investors to move a bit quicker, and something we
Yes.
discussed. I was like, well, how about if somebody refers us a client, we'll just give them £100.
Yes. Give them £100. At the same time, give them something else. Okay. One of your value ladder products. So let's say you've spoken with someone and they have knowledge about BRR strategy. Okay. Maybe they now want to understand a bit more depth to something else. Okay. Something that you realized that they don't have enough knowledge of. Okay. Maybe supported accommodation strategy or some other strategy. Okay. If let's say someone in the team has that product, give it to them for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay. But you've just created more value in their life, leading to them coming back to you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. I give away content like crazy. Okay. I want to give away so much content that people get more and more attracted towards us. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Jack.
Okay. But remember, creating content doesn't cost you a lot. You are already learning a lot. It's maybe time to create that value ladder so you can attract more people. Okay.
Jack, sorry,
Yes.
I'm gonna actually have to leave. Sadly, I've got a few appointments to attend
That's
to.
fine. Yeah, no worries. You shoot off. You take
Thanks
care.
a lot for the session, though. I'll make sure to watch the rest of the recording. Everyone, take
No
care.
problem. Take care. Radio Hamel, do you have any questions, buddy, so far?
Not at the moment. I've missed quite a bit. I had to take a call. Apologies. I'm gonna have to probably go circle back and watch the video,
No problem.
the session from the beginning. I've got a couple of HMO viewings, one later today, and then I've got 3 next week, hoping to secure working directly with a vendor, building a really good relationship. So hopefully I'll be able to add those to the deck. I've still got about 6 in my deck that I'm trying to push out to investors at the moment.
Fantastic. Well done.
I've got a couple of development deals as well that I'm kind of working on in the background.
Okay. If you want to share them with me, if you need to, I can share with my database as well.
Yeah, I will actually share them. I don't think there's actually great. I don't think the numbers are great. What I'll do, I've got the both of them. I've done like top level kind of analysis. What I'll do with you and me need to have a catch up. So what I'll do is early next week, I'll probably give you a call, or I might come and see you, whichever is easier for yourself.
Whichever is easier for you, no problem. You can come down to the office as well.
Exactly, perfect. So I'll come and hang with you for a bit.
All right. Okay. So last but not the least question is, how do you generate more referrals? Okay, because that is very, very important when it comes to growing your network. Okay, it's very, very simple. When you serve someone, you're going to ask them, do you have anyone in your network that might be interested in what we have to offer? Okay, can you recommend us 3 people, or can you recommend us 5 people? Most people, if they're happy with your service, they will always recommend you at least 2, 3, in many cases 5 or even 10 people. Okay, you know, we go and eat at a restaurant, nice restaurant. What do? We don't ask the restaurant manager, oh, shall we go and recommend people to you? No, we just go and automatically tell people, oh, this was a great restaurant, right? So if you give a good service, in most cases, people are actually happy to give you recommendations without you actually having to offer them money. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes,
If you look at, when you look at these WhatsApp groups, right? People get so much value out of these groups that they actually connect with me personally, because obviously we are leading them. They connect with me personally and say, thank you. What can I've literally had someone message me for a few months ago, and he said, you know, It's a great to be a part of your PE and WhatsApp groups. I've learned so much. I've managed to start my business. You know, is there anything I can help you with? He literally asked me that. I didn't know the person. I didn't know who he was. He just literally messaged me because he's just in the WhatsApp groups. Okay. Very, very easy to tell him that, look, if you found it useful for you, can you invite more people into the WhatsApp groups? And that's exactly what I did. Okay. And then I think he invited a few more people. On top of that, if you guys noticed, I ran a draw the other day, right? And there was actually a winner who I gave some training program, some training to. Okay. It was recorded, pre-recorded training that I gave to. But guess what? He invited 33 people into one of our groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. This is your explosive growth that leads to, you know, growing your investor database, and then you start to nurture those relationships and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to do all of this simultaneously to be able to get to a point where you actually have a sustainable business. If you are not creating the systems and processes and the value ladders in place, it's gonna be a bit of a struggle for you. Okay. You really need to start setting up your basics, connecting with the right kind of investors, setting up your basics, setting up your groups, inviting people into those groups, either as Facebook, LinkedIn, or WhatsApp groups, and start to nurture those relationships. Okay. Because if you don't have your numbers behind you, it's always going to be a push. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes, Jack.
Okay. Anyone has any questions so far? It's good to do your development deals, your sourcing deals, and so on and so forth. But remember, at the core, you want to build a business that has value as well. Okay. You want to get to a point where you look at your business and say, oh, you know what? Great. I've built a 10,000 people network or 100,000 network. Now I can go and speak with someone to see what is the value of this business. And they might turn up to you and say, this is worth £500,000, £1 million, or maybe a lot more, depending on how much you are monetizing that. Does that make sense, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Good one. What is your next step? Emmanuel, let's start with you. You've joined us just a couple of days ago. What is your next step for what I've just shared with you today?
So my next step will basically, I'm just going to have to revisit my my LinkedIn. I need to revamp that now. I'm going to have to revamp my Facebook as well as my my WhatsApp as well, because I've got so many groups. So that's going to be my first priority, really.
Systematically setting up all these 3 channels to expand your network and your database, so you could potentially get more deals done. Even if it means, if you want to do your own deals, that you get to a point that you have enough network to pitch it to.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Obviously, we have a call later on, Emmanuel, as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a lot more on top of all of this. Okay.
Sure. Fantastic.
Fantastic. What is your next step, Geeta? What are you finding challenging? I think there's some aspects that you're finding challenging.
I think I'm a little bit trying to stay out of sourcing at the moment, but apart from that, I'm just trying to work more on to establishing a bit of database, getting things to automate. Yeah, I mean, I probably may have to still kind of find the way how the things are automated so well, because what happens is when I'm posting anything across, and when I'm kind of having people, there's so many messages they are sending back, and I probably don't have a possibility to explain about my services manually, so I was just trying to explore some ways to see if I could automate things so people can be known about. And I probably need to change my profile from Sourcer to something else as well.
Make a video. I
have a video about my services, but it's just more about, I want to personalize it by the message, very brief. Just for people to have a very eye-catching message.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's what we covered as well. Marketing message is very important.
Yeah, so I'm trying to work on that with one of my friend to help me with that. So yeah, so getting to just kind of form the database. I'm not sure what exactly I will utilize it utilize it for. But yeah, but I'm
That means
trying to.
you're going back to the drawing board of your strategy again. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. You just have to focus to where you want to, whatever your strategy might be, but you need to pick one strategy and work with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Lavanya, what is your next step?
Probably I need to prepare the marketing hook and the subscription list.
Yes,
Create
you need to set up
those.
that. Okay.
Those are
Yes.
the 2 things.
Yes, we are working behind the scene on some of the other things as well. But remember, you need to build a business as well. There's a difference between doing developments or flip projects or whatever, investing in your own portfolio.
Yeah.
The business.
Yeah.
Are you with me on that?
Yes.
And you need to work on both. Okay.
Yeah.
Having a business besides what you do on your portfolio side actually really helps.
Okay.
Because they're both correlated. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm gonna we'll discuss on this in more detail when we meet next week. Okay.
Okay, Jack.
Okay. And Deep, I know I spoke with you yesterday, but do you have any questions at the moment?
No, today I know we will talk about marketing and how to market yourself. And as you said, we're building a business, not just we're actually building something for ourselves that can be valued in the future.
It is, yes. Remember, at the core, you are building a business. Even when you're building your portfolio, remember, at the core, that is a business. Because you may potentially get to a point in 10, 20, 30 years' time, and you may not want to keep this portfolio. Okay? And then it's a business, right? It's a business. You sell the portfolio as an asset business.
Yeah. It's a whole.
Okay? So at the core, it's all a business. Even if it means you're buying a portfolio on your personal name or your limited company name, at the core, it's a business which you will potentially at one point maybe sell. Okay?
But my next step isn't to do anything to do with marketing today, but it's contacting landlords or estate agents because I want to get into rent.
That's again marketing.
Okay, that is true. Yeah.
Remember, when you call someone,
you market yourself.
You call someone and you say, "Can you show me this property?" He's going to ask you, "What do you do?" That's your marketing message. The answer to that question is your marketing message. We help, or I'm looking to grow my portfolio. Simple. Okay. But then if you are doing more than that, we help property investors expand their portfolio. Yeah. But you gotta come up with your own marketing message and keep it simple. Okay. Yeah. Again, marketing comes at the core of everything. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone has any questions so far, or I'll end the recording for today?
No questions.
Thank you for watching. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you.
Thank you.